what really separates a good game from one that stays with you for 10 years? I've played hundreds of single-player games, and most of them fade fast. This video isn't about hype or nostalgia, it's about the few games that actually earned a perfect score. And yeah, one of them is probably a game you wrote off as too old, or not for you. Look, let's be honest, calling a remake a 10 out of 10 is usually just bait, and you know that I'm talking about the OG MGS3. But now we have the remake, so why not just go with that? But also, Metal Gear Solid Delta actually pulls it off, even if it tries to melt your console in the process. The vibe is, it's basically the ultimate sad dad origin story. You're playing a Snake who's basically a pawn being moved around by people way smarter than him. The story is peak Hideo Kojima. It's weird, it's long, and there's a guy who literally shoots bees out of his mouth. But beneath all that Japanese dev fever dream stuff, the relationship between Snake and the boss is genuinely heavy. It's a 10 out of 10 story because it stays with you for weeks. Most Metal Gear games are about tech, bases, cameras, lasers, and modern warfare. Snake Eater said, nah, let's throw you into a Cold War jungle in the 1960s. No radar towers everywhere, no fancy gear, just trees, mud, animals, and enemy soldiers who actually feel like they're patrolling a real place. And that changes everything about how the game plays. This isn't stealth where you just crouch walk behind boxes. You're crawling in dirt, you're watching how tall the grass is, you're checking which camo you're wearing because your uniform percentage actually affects if enemies can see you or not. If you wear bright stuff in the jungle, yeah, you're getting spotted. Simple, but insanely immersive. Then there's the survival mechanics, which sound annoying on paper, but in the game they feel natural. You don't just heal with a magic button. If you get shot, you might have to remove a bullet, and if you break a bone, you splint it. If you don't eat, your stamina drops, and eating isn't just opening a menu, you hunt. You catch snakes, frogs, birds. Sometimes the food makes snakes sick, sometimes it helps. It's messy, slow, and very human. That's kind of the point of Snake Eater. You're not meant to feel slick all the time. You're meant to feel alone. Now let's talk about the boss fights, because this is where Kojima went full no one else is doing this. These fights aren't about emptying a health bar. They're about understanding the situation. One boss tracks you through the jungle like an actual hunter. Another plays with your patience. One literally reacts to how you play the game. You can outthink them, avoid them, or beat them in ways the game never explains directly. It respects your intelligence. And yeah, people still talk about these bosses 20 years later. That doesn't happen by accident. So yeah, this is one of the best single-player games ever.
What's the matter?
We're surrounded. I see 4 of them.
Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves is the game that set the bar for action-adventure titles and just made everyone else look like they were trying to catch up. This is the game that proved Uncharted wasn't just a fluke, it's a masterclass in pacing, storytelling, and non-stop action that grabs you by the shirt and doesn't let go until you see the credits roll. First off, Nathan Drake? Yeah, he's your classic wisecracking adventurer, but he's so much more than that. You get to feel his exhaustion, his joy, his fear. He's not just the action hero who does everything perfectly. He messes up, he gets hurt, and you actually feel for him. That's what makes him stand out compared to every other action hero out there. The game does not waste your time. From the very first chapter, you're running, jumping, climbing, and shooting your way through jaw-dropping environments. It never lets you catch your breath. You're leaping across cliffs, fighting bad guys, solving puzzles. All of it flows so smoothly, you don't even realize how much time you spent playing until you look up and it's already been 5 hours. That's the magic of Uncharted 2. The set pieces in this game are insane. The train sequence, one of the most heart-pounding moments in gaming history. You're hanging on for dear life, dodging explosions, climbing your way through a frickin' moving train, hanging off a cliff. It's the kind of action you don't see in many games, and it makes you feel like you're right there trying not to fall off. And the graphics? For a PS3 game, it was ahead of its time. Even now, it still holds up in a big way. The environments feel real, like you're actually exploring these ancient ruins and jungles instead of just looking at a screen. Plus, the music and sound design really sell the adventure vibe. You're not just playing a game, you're living through this wild ride. Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of those games that sets the bar so high it's hard to even see the top of the mountain from where other games stand. It's an absolute beast of a game, and every time you think you've seen it all, it pulls you deeper into its world, making you realize that it's not just a game, it's a living, breathing universe. First off, the story. Holy hell, the story. You're Arthur Morgan, a member of the Vanderlyn gang, and right from the start, you're sucked into this gritty, emotional journey that doesn't just tell you a story, it makes you feel it. Arthur's struggle between loyalty to his gang and realizing there heading down a dangerous road is something you'll feel in your gut. It's one of those stories that sticks with you long after you finish the game. The characters, they're all memorable, each one with their own unique personalities and struggles. You'll love some, hate others, but all of them leave an impression.
By some hill country sheriff stealing a chicken, I think it was.
The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is just insane. You're not just playing through a bunch of missions, you're living in this massive open world environment that feels real. Like if you stop and look around, you'll see everything from wildlife to weather changes to NPCs going about their daily lives. You can hunt, fish, rob trains, or just get lost in the beauty of the game's wilderness. The attention to detail is next level. You can literally feel the cold when you're out in the snow, or sweat as you ride through the heat of the desert. It's like Rockstar took everything they learned from Grand Theft Auto and turned it up to 11, with the added depth of the Old West. And the gameplay, it's all about the immersion. The shooting feels solid, the horseback riding is smooth, and the way you interact with the world is intuitive but not oversimplified. Every interaction feels weighty, like there are consequences to what you do. You want to play the hero? Go ahead, help out strangers, but be ready to carry the weight of your choices. You want to be a ruthless outlaw? You can go down that path too, but don't be surprised when it all starts catching up to you. Every action, every decision matters, and that's a rare thing in games today.
Now you keep your mouth shut.
Let's not forget about the side activities. Sure, you could stick to the main story, but you'll be doing yourself a huge disservice. There are so many things to do in the game, like hunting legendary animals, playing poker, treasure hunting, or even just sitting around the campfire and listening to stories. It's all part of the experience, and it gives the game an incredible sense of depth. And if the story and world weren't enough, the visuals? Damn. It's one of the best looking games ever made. Whether it's the sun setting over the mountains or the snow drifting over a quiet town, every scene feels like it could be a postcard. The sound design is just as impressive, the soundtrack is subtle but perfect, and the way the world sounds, animals, gunshots, footsteps in the mud, everything is so rich and real.
What matters?
Do as you're goddamn told.
It is us or him.
God of War 2018. God of War 2018 is like a total game changer, seriously. You know how Kratos used to be all about just smashing through gods and causing chaos? Well, in this game, he's got a whole new vibe. He's trying to be a better dad, trying to not destroy everything in his path, and that change is huge. Instead of just being this super angry guy, you get to see him as a dad, trying to teach his son, Atreus, how to survive. And Atreus, he's no slouch either. This isn't some kid who just tags along for the ride. He's actually super useful, and watching him grow up and learn from Kratos is one of the coolest things in the game. The story itself is pretty simple at first. Kratos and Atreus are on this big adventure to scatter Kratos' wife's ashes. But, like every story in games, it doesn't stay simple for long. They end up facing gods, monsters, and all kinds of crazy stuff. What's great about this game is that it's not about saving the world or some big crazy fight. It's about family, trying to do right by the people you love, and finding out who you really are. It feels real, you know? Now, let's talk about the gameplay. It's so smooth, like butter on toast. The combat is super fun, and you've got this awesome axe called the Leviathan Axe. You can throw it and call it back like Thor, and it never gets old. You'll be smashing through enemies left and right, and it feels so good when you land that perfect hit. The boss fights? Dude, they're epic. These fights are huge with awesome music and crazy battles where you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. One of the coolest things in the game is the relationship between Kratos and Atreus. At the start, Kratos is all tough and grumpy, but as you play, you start to see this softer side to him. He's trying to teach Atreus the right way, even though he's not always sure of what that is. Atreus, on the other hand, is trying to figure out who he is and how to be a good son. Their relationship feels super real, and it's one of the best parts of the game. It's not just about fighting, there's real emotion here. The world of God of War is another big reason this game is so awesome. The 9 realms are all totally different, and they each feel like their own world. There's this huge snow-covered area called Niflheim, and then there's this fiery place called Muspelheim. Every place looks amazing, and you'll find yourself just looking around and taking everything in. Plus, there are a ton of secrets to find, so it's not just about getting to the next. So you're always exploring and discovering something new. Shadow of the Colossus. Man, this game is something else. So Picture this, you're in this huge, beautiful world, just you and your horse, and what are you doing? Oh, just taking down massive, towering colossi, like bigger than buildings, with nothing but your wits and a sword. No armies, no sidekicks, just you, alone. It's kind of like you're playing a game where you're the underdog, but not just any underdog, an underdog who's fighting giants. It's not all hack and slash though, no, you've got to climb these giants, figure out their weak spots, and take them down in the most epic way possible. It feels more like a puzzle, but one that gets your heart racing, because each Colossus is a fight for survival. You can't just button mash your way through. It's all about strategy and patience. The game's world is seriously something to marvel at too. You're exploring these vast, empty landscapes, and there's this haunting, lonely feeling. It's just you, the open sky, and these monstrous creatures. And the music? Yeah, it's pretty much a masterpiece that will stay in your head for days. But here's the thing. When you finally defeat one of those colossi, you feel like a freaking champion. It's not some easy kill, it's earned. You're going up against something that seems impossible, and when you take it down, feels like you just accomplished something legendary. So yeah, Shadow of the Colossus isn't just a game, it's an experience. If you haven't played it, well, what are you doing? Go play it, get lost in that world, feel like the badass that you are. Spider-Man 2018. The one that made everyone feel like a total boss swinging through New York City. I mean, if you ever dreamed of being Spider-Man as a kid, or, you know, even as an adult, this is pretty much the closest you'll ever get. The game nails that feeling of being Spidey down to a T. First off, swinging through the city is just fun. Like seriously, it's so smooth and satisfying. You'll find yourself just swinging around, doing flips, and zipping through skyscrapers like it's no big deal. It's not just some gimmick, it's actually the best part of the game. You'll be catching yourself thinking, dang, this is so awesome every time you swing. You almost forget about the rest of the game because you could do this for hours. Now the story, it's solid. You've got Peter Parker dealing with the classic Spider-Man life balance, fighting villains, saving the city, and still trying to keep his personal life together. You got some heavy hitters like Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, and Mr. Negative, and they really flesh out the character of Peter Parker too, which makes you care about him even more. It's not just about the action. It's about the guy behind the mask and the struggle to keep his life together while saving the world. The combat is, oh man, it's smooth. You're dodging attacks, throwing punches, kicking enemies into walls, and webbing them up like a pro. You feel like you're in a fight scene from a Spider-Man movie, and it never gets old. You're not just a punching bag for bad guys, you're badass, taking them down in style. The visuals are gorgeous too. New York feels alive. It's a massive playground full of little details, from the crowds on the streets to the gorgeous skyline at sunset. You'll catch yourself stopping mid-swing just to appreciate how freaking good everything looks. And then the upgrades. You get to customize your suits and abilities so you can mix things up and really feel like you're evolving as Spider-Man. Plus, the variety of suits is awesome. You got everything from the classic red and blue to some really unique designs from the comics. It's like Halloween, but every day. So yeah, Spider-Man 2018 is pretty much a dream come true for any Spidey fan. Great story, awesome gameplay, and the feeling of actually being Spider-Man in a living, breathing New York City. If you haven't played it yet, do yourself a favor, swing into this one. You won't regret it.
Shipping containers. Explains how foreign nationals with criminal records are getting into the country.
The Last of Us. Oh man, where do I even start? This game is a masterpiece. It's not just a game, it's an emotional journey, a roller coaster that yanks you around with highs and lows, leaving you wrecked by the end. This isn't some mindless shooter where you run around blowing stuff up. Nah, this game punches you in the gut with a story that stays with you long after the credits roll. The main characters, Joel and Ellie, are what make The Last of Us unforgettable. Joel's a grizzled, broken man who's seen the worst of what the post-apocalyptic world has to offer. He's cold, tough, and doesn't trust anyone. Ellie, on the other hand, is this young, tough-as-nails girl who's grown up in a world where survival is all that matters. The bond that forms between them over the course of the game is the heart and soul of the story. It's like you're watching a father-daughter relationship evolve in real time, and by the end you feel like you've been through every damn moment with them. Now, the setting. It's gorgeous and haunting at the same time. You're dropped into a world where humanity's been almost wiped out by a fungal infection, and nature has slowly started to reclaim the earth. Cities are in ruins, animals are back, and plants are creeping through cracked concrete, but it's not just about the world being cool to look at, it's about how everything tells a story. You can walk through an abandoned shopping mall, and just by looking around, you can feel the history of it all. There's so much detail that it pulls you in and makes you forget that you're playing a game. And the gameplay? It's brutal. The combat in The Last of Us is intense, tense, and sometimes downright terrifying. Ammo is scarce, so you have to be smart about how you approach situations. Do you sneak past the enemies, or do you go in guns blazing? Spoiler, you're probably gonna screw up at least once and get caught in a fight you can't win. The clickers, those infected dudes that make that creepy clicking noise, are nightmare fuel, and they'll make you sweat bullets when you're trying to sneak around them. But the game isn't just about killing zombies, it's about surviving, it's about sacrifice, and it's about the weight of your choices. The emotional roller coaster that is The Last of Us never lets up. You'll feel joy, you'll feel pain, and you'll be so attached to these characters by the end that you'll find yourself thinking about them long after you finish the game. Doom, 2016. Dude, this game is a straight up adrenaline shot to the face. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to rip through demons with chainsaws, rocket launchers, and guns that make your heart race, this is the game that answers that question. It's fast, it's loud, it's violent, it's everything you want from a shooter and more. First off, this isn't your typical take cover and slowly work your way through enemies kind of shooter. Oh no, this is about running straight into the chaos, guns blazing, and killing anything that dares cross your path. No hiding, no holding back, just pure, unadulterated carnage. The moment you grab that shotgun and hear the boom, you're hooked. The movement in Doom is on another level. You're not just walking around at a leisurely pace, you're sprinting, sliding, jumping, and dashing your way through these hellish environments like some sort of demon hunting parkour expert. You're constantly on the move, dodging fireballs, and making sure you don't get surrounded by the endless waves of demons trying to rip your face off. And let's talk about how satisfying it is to blow these freaking demons to bits. It's like they explode into a glorious mess of gore, which honestly never gets old. The glory kill mechanic, it's the cherry on top. When you weaken an enemy, you can run up to them and pull off these brutal, over-the-top finishing moves. It's like the game says, hey, let's just take this to the next level, and each glory kill feels more satisfying than the last. You're basically sending demons to the afterlife with style, and it's awesome. The guns are insane too. You've got your classic shotgun and assault rifle, but then it gets weird, and I mean that in the best way. You've got rocket launchers, the BFG, which is a literal monster of a weapon, and even a chainsaw that's perfect for chopping up demons into little pieces. It's the kind of game where you're constantly picking up new weapons, and each one feels like it's more powerful than the last. And the music, oh my god, the soundtrack in Doom 2016 is probably one of the best in recent years. The heavy metal riffs are basically the sound of your own rage blasting through your speakers as you mow down everything in sight. It's so intense you almost feel like you're in a concert while you're playing, except the crowd is made up of demons and the stage is a fiery hellscape. The environments are brutal too. You'll be running through hellish landscapes, tech-infested bases, and massive open spaces that look like something straight out of a nightmare. It's all designed to make you feel like you're in this never-ending war against these hell-spawned creatures, and you're the only one who can stop them. Far Cry 3. Where do I even start? This game pretty much redefined what an open world shooter could be, and it gave us one of the most iconic villains in video game history. I mean, Voss? That guy is nuts. But yeah, let's break this down. First off, you're thrown into this insane tropical island paradise that quickly turns into a chaotic nightmare. You're Jason Brody, just some regular guy who ends up stranded on this remote island after a vacation gone horribly wrong. Your friends are kidnapped by a bunch of crazy pirates, and now it's up to you to get them back. Easy, right? Except not really. The game does a killer job of making you feel like you're completely out of your depth. You start off with barely any skills, and as you progress, you level up, unlocking new abilities that turn you into this brutal, jungle-killing machine. Seriously, by the end of it, you're the one everyone's afraid of, not the other way around. Now let's talk about the world. Far Cry 3 isn't just a bunch of random islands thrown together, it's massive and it feels alive. You've got jungles full of wildlife, beaches, cliffs, and even some hidden caves and temples to explore. It's the kind of place where you're never really safe. You might be chillin', sneaking through the bushes, then suddenly a tiger shows up and starts chasing you. Or maybe you're trying to get from point A to point B and a freaking convoy of bad guys rolls up out of nowhere. The game keeps you on your toes like that, and it's awesome. The combat here was also really smooth. You can go in guns blazing, shoot everything in sight and make a mess, or you can play it stealthy, sneaking up on enemies and taking them out quietly with your bow and arrow. Honestly, both styles are fun, and the game doesn't really force you to choose. There's always an option to approach things your way, and then of course, there's the awesome weapon variety. You can take down your enemies with pistols, shotguns, assault rifles, or even blow them up with explosives. The sandbox is huge, but the real cherry on top of this chaotic cake is Voss. I mean, the dude is just crazy, and not in a funny, quirky way. He's legitimately insane, but there's this weird charm to him. Every time he shows up, it's like you're watching a train wreck in real time. You know it's bad, but you can't look away. He's the type of villain who makes you question what you're doing, why you're doing it, and whether it's all worth it. His definition of insanity speech? Legendary.
This time, it's gonna be different. No, please. This time, it's gonna be different. I'm sorry. I don't like the way...
Spec Ops The Line? Let's just get this out of the way. This game is a gut punch. You play as Captain Martin Walker, leading a group of soldiers into a sandstorm, ravage Dubai to find out what happened to a US military battalion that went rogue. Sounds simple enough, right? Just go in, find them, and get out, but yeah, no, that would be way too easy. The deeper you get into the story, the more twisted things become, and that's when Spec Ops The Line really hits you. The thing about this game is that it's not just about shooting dudes. Oh, you do plenty of that, but the story and the choices you make carry so much weight, the game doesn't shy away from showing you the horrors of war hell. It throws them in your face. You're not a hero in this story, you're a soldier stuck in a moral nightmare, where every choice seems to make things worse, and you don't always know if what you're doing is right. And let's talk about the atmosphere. The setting of Dubai is haunting. It's this beautiful, once glittering city that's now been turned into a war-torn hellscape, and it's eerie. The sandstorm tearing through the city adds to the chaos, and it just feels like everything around you is falling apart. It's like you're walking through a nightmare, and every corner feels like it could hold something truly messed up. Then there's the gunplay. It's smooth and satisfying, but you're not playing this for the mechanics. It's fun to blow stuff up and take out enemies, but the real draw is how the game messes with your psyche. There's a moment halfway through where the game takes a huge turn, and without giving spoilers, let's just say you'll never look at Spec Ops The Line the same way again after that. It'll make you question every decision you've made up until that point.
I'm gonna kill every last one of your men.
What's genius about Spec Ops The Line is how it subverts the typical heroic soldier narrative we see in a lot of games. It shows you the dark side of war and the consequences of blind obedience. It forces you to grapple with your actions and the impact they have, not just on the people around you, but on your own soul. There's this slow burn throughout the game, and by the time you reach the end, it's like your brain is trying to catch up with everything that's just gone down. The real kicker is that the game doesn't give you easy answers. There's no good guy versus bad guy thing here. You're not playing as the White Knight trying to save the day. You're a guy caught in a system that's broken, and the game doesn't let you forget it. It's brutal, it's uncomfortable, and it will stick with you long after the credits roll. So yeah, Spec Ops The Line isn't just a shooter, it's a story-driven experience that forces you to confront the ugly side of war. It's got action, but it's also got a narrative that'll leave you feeling heavy, like you just went through something real. If you want a game that's gonna mess with your head and make you think, this is the one. It's one of those rare titles that really shows you what video games can do when they decide to tell a serious, impactful story. You won't regret playing it, but you might not look at the world the same way after. Hitman Trilogy. Man, if you're into stealth, creativity, and making the perfect plan only to see it all go to hell in the best possible way, this is the series for you. This isn't just about sneaking around and taking people out, it's about being a total pro at it. The main guy, Agent 47.A, bald, barcode-headed assassin with a suit, a briefcase, and all the cool gadgets and disguises you could dream of. So in these games, you're basically given a mission to eliminate someone, and the world is your playground. You're not just going in with guns blazing like a maniac, though hey, you can totally do that if you want to. No, the fun is in being creative. You can plan your approach however you want. Maybe you poison someone's drink, set up a crazy accident, or just straight up disguise yourself as a bodyguard and walk right up to your target. It's all about thinking through how you're gonna make that perfect kill. The levels are huge and every mission is packed with NPCs who have their own routines. The world feels alive, which is awesome because you get to sneak around and watch people learn their patterns and figure out the best way to move. Some of the locations are insane too, like a mansion, a luxury resort, or even a fashion show. You get to take out your target in style. One of the best parts, the replayability. You can beat a mission one way, but then you'll start thinking, what if I did it this way? And so you try a completely different approach. Every time you finish a mission, you get this rush of satisfaction like you've just pulled off the perfect heist without anyone even noticing. But screw up just once and boom! The whole thing falls apart and you'll have to go back to the drawing board. And trust me, you'll screw up plenty. And let's talk about the art of disguising yourself. You can become a waiter, a janitor, a guard, you name it. It's hilarious and you'll find yourself in these absurd situations trying to act cool when you're clearly not, but hey, it's part of the fun. Plus, the AI is smart, so if you get a little too comfy, they'll catch on to you eventually. You can't just walk around acting like you own the place. The trilogy as a whole keeps getting better and better with each game. The third one, Hitman 3, brings everything together, offering even more creative ways to take out targets. The levels are bigger, the challenges are tougher, and the overall story is wrapped up in a way that gives you a sense of completion, though I wouldn't mind seeing more. To sum it up, if you're into stealth, problem solving, and just having a blast coming up with ridiculously fun ways to kill someone, in a totally professional, non-psycho way of course, the Hitman Trilogy is one of the best series to dive into. You're not just playing to finish missions, you're playing to see just how crazy and creative you can get while pulling off the perfect hit. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt didn't just raise the bar, it grabbed that thing, snapped it in half, and told every other RPG to catch up or get lost. This game is just on another freaking level. It's the kind of thing you start playing thinking, yeah, I'll just check it out, and suddenly you're 80 hours deep, you care way too much about some cursed tree spirit, and you're trying to figure out which dialogue option won't ruin someone's life. It's that good. Geralt of Rivia. This dude's a walking legend. He's grumpy, chill, sarcastic, and still manages to be a total badass, and the world around him feels alive. Like you ride into some random village and here we go, there's a whole story there. People with real problems, side quests that hit harder than most AAA main stories. None of that filler garbage. And don't even get me started on the DLCs. Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine could have been full-price games on their own. That's how much love CD Projekt Red put into them. They didn't just phone it in, they went full beast mode. The combat's not some crazy flashy hack and slash, but it's got depth. You're using potions, oils, traps, actually thinking about how to handle different monsters. It's not just mindless button mashing. It makes you feel like you earned every win. If you've somehow skipped The Witcher 3 all this time, man, you're missing out. This is one of those once-in-a-generation titles that still makes other games look like they're in beta.
Now don't fuck this up.
Alien Isolation. This game is so scary because it takes the monster from the first movie, which is one of the most terrifying things ever made, and it puts you right in a room with it and says, good luck. You play as Amanda Ripley, who is the daughter of Ellen Ripley, and she is trying to figure out what happened to her mom, which is a cool story, but honestly, you barely care about the plot because you are too busy sweating. You are stuck on this huge, broken down space station called Sevastopol, and everything looks all retro and 70-ish, which is a cool look, but it is also creepy and run down. The station is full of dangerous people and these scary robots, but the real star of the show, the thing that makes you want to uninstall the game immediately, is the xenomorph itself. This alien is the best horror movie monster that has ever been put into a video game, and the thing is truly terrifying because it is unscripted, which means it does not follow a set path. It is basically the smartest hunter you have ever seen, and if you keep running, it learns that you run, and it will cut you off. If you keep hiding in the same locker, it will find you there the next time. It literally gets smarter and learns your habits, so you constantly have to change how you play, which is just exhausting. Your only real friend is the motion tracker, which is that little radar thing that goes ping, 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 but that little noise is actually the most stressful sound in the history of sound. It tells you exactly how close the alien is, but it is not fast enough to tell you where it is coming from, and sometimes you see the blip right above you, which means it's in the vents and it is about to drop down and end your whole life. You spend the entire game crouching under tables and walking slowly in the dark, and you are just hoping that the terrifying creature does not smell you or hear you breathe. You eventually get a flamethrower, but you need to know this. This is not a weapon. You are not supposed to kill it with fire. The flamethrower is just a really expensive cigarette lighter that you can use to scare the alien away for exactly 3 seconds, and then you have to run for your life again before it comes back, even angrier than before. It is honestly one of those games that makes your neck hurt from constantly looking up because you know that thing is in the air vents, waiting for the perfect time to drop down and ruin your day. This game is too long and too stressful, but that is exactly why it is one of the purest nightmares ever made. Firewatch. Firewatch is one of those games that just pulls you in with its vibe. It's not about action or puzzles. It's more about being in someone else's shoes for a while. You play as a guy named Henry, who takes a summer job as a fire lookout in the middle of a huge forest in Wyoming. He's out there alone in a wooden tower, miles away from anyone, just watching the trees and trying to get some peace. Henry's going through a lot. He's dealing with some personal stuff back home, stuff that's left him kind of broken, and this job is basically his way of escaping it. The only person he talks to is Delilah, another lookout who works in a tower way off in the distance. You never meet her face to face, but she's always talking to you through the radio. And that's really what the whole game is built on, the conversations between Henry and Delilah. Their back and forth is super real. You choose what Henry says, and depending on how you talk to her, you can keep things light and funny or get deep and serious. Some of the choices hit hard, especially when you start learning more about Henry's life and why he took the job. It's not a romance story, but there's real chemistry, and you start feeling like these are two people trying to figure themselves out just in the middle of nowhere.
Why are you freaking out?
I'm not freaking out.
Good.
The gameplay is simple. You walk through the woods, follow trails, use your map and compass, check out weird stuff like a broken fence, a missing backpack, or some strange signals coming from the trees. At first it all feels normal, peaceful even, but then the story slowly starts throwing in little bits of mystery and you're never quite sure what's real or if something darker is going on. Visually, the game looks amazing in a chill way. Big open skies, bright sunsets, firelight at night. It feels like you're out there, hiking alone with nothing but nature around you. The colors are warm and soft, and the forest changes with the time of day. You can almost feel the wind and hear the trees moving around you. The soundtrack only pops in during key moments, and it always hits the right mood. There's no combat, no enemies, no leveling up. You're just walking, exploring, and talking, but somehow it's super engaging. The way the story unfolds and how it all comes back to Henry and Delilah keeps you hooked the whole way. It only takes about 4 or 5 hours to finish, but it sticks with you way after. Firewatch is quiet, emotional, and kind of beautiful in its own way. It's about being alone, figuring out what matters, and just listening to someone who's also kind of lost. If you want a calm, story-driven game that feels like a good short movie with strong characters, this one's a solid pick.
Nothing like this has ever happened before.
Maybe I'm just losing my mind.
I need you to feel safe out here.
Well, I sure don't now.
You will. I promise.
Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush is this super energetic action game that mixes beat-based combat with hack-and-slash mechanics. You play as Chai, a regular guy who volunteers for this experiment that goes wrong, and as a result, he ends up with a cybernetic arm and this music player fused into his chest. That's the core gimmick. Everything in the game moves to the music. Your attacks, dodges, and combos literally sync to the beat. So timing isn't just cosmetic, it actually makes combat flow better. The story is mostly a fun, over-the-top setup. Chai is this sarcastic, kinda lazy guy who suddenly has to fight a bunch of corporate goons, crazy bosses, and the odd robot or two. It's not dark or emotional. It's loud, colorful, and full of personality. The writing is funny, the dialogue is full of jokes, and Chai reacts to situations in a very human way, which is nice because it makes you feel connected to him even though the story itself isn't super deep. Gameplay is where this game really shines. You can mash buttons and survive, but if you start syncing attacks to the rhythm, the combos flow naturally, you chain hits better, and boss fights feel satisfying instead of chaotic. You also get help from different partners during fights, each with unique abilities, which adds another layer of strategy. Switching between Chai and your partners feels smooth, and the bosses are designed so you actually have to pay attention, react, and sometimes even move around the arena to hit weak points on beat. Visually, the game is ridiculous in the best way. Neon colors, exaggerated character designs, crazy effects when you land combos, it all pops and matches the music perfectly. The environments are industrial but lively, and there's a lot of small details if you pay attention, like robots doing random tasks, hazards you can knock into enemies, or little visual cues that help you time attacks. It's not massive or open world, but it doesn't need to be. Everything is designed to support the rhythm combat, and that works really well. The music system is actually clever. It feels natural and rewarding rather than gimmicky. Hitting the beats gives you rhythm points, which can improve your attacks or fill your meter for special moves. It's satisfying when you start seeing combos build up and the music and combat start feeling like one thing instead of two separate systems. Bosses really push this system, forcing you to pay attention to timing and positioning while keeping the flow going. The Wolf Among Us. The Wolf Among Us is this episodic adventure game that Telltale made back in 2013, and honestly, it still feels fresh if you like story-driven games. You play as Bigby Wolf, yeah, the big bad wolf, but way older, grumpier, and now basically the sheriff of Fabletown, which is this hidden community of fairy tale characters living in New York. The whole vibe is dark, gritty, and noirish, like a detective story but with fairy tale characters. Snow, rain, dark alleys, it's moody, and the art style is comic booky, which really helps sell that vibe. The story is the heart of the game. Right away, you get pulled into a murder investigation, but it's not just about solving a crime. The people you're dealing with, Snow White, Bloody Mary, all these classic characters have personalities, agendas, and secrets. Some of them are nice, some are shady, some will straight up lie to you. Bigby isn't exactly a good guy. He's gruff, rough around the edges, and sometimes violent, which makes the dialogue and choices feel real. You're constantly thinking about who to trust, how to handle situations, and what kind of Bigby you actually want to be. Gameplay is mostly point-and-click adventure with dialogue choices and a few quick-time events during fights. It's not about combat skill, it's about decisions and pacing. Choices feel meaningful. Someone lives, a character gets scared off, or a story branch changes later, and it doesn't always spell out the consequences immediately, which is cool. Some people hate that there's not much traditional gameplay, but honestly, the way Telltale structures it makes you feel like you're part of a real story rather than just completing objectives.
This whole time! Listen to your wife.
The episodic format works here because it gives you time to think about your choices and reflect on the story. Each episode ends in a way that keeps you guessing, and sometimes you're left with morally gray situations where you don't really feel like there's a right answer. Bigby's personality plus the dialogue options make you feel like you're actively shaping who he is over time. Art-wise, the game nails it. The cel-shaded comic book style is perfect for the setting. It's not just pretty, it adds to the tone. Rain-soaked streets, smoky bars, dark offices, every scene feels like it's part of a bigger, lived-in world. The sound design and music also pull you in. It's subtle but effective, keeps the tension up, and complements the noir vibe. The Wolf Among Us is definitely niche. If you're expecting action or fast gameplay, this isn't it. But if you like stories, characters, and choice-driven drama, it's fantastic. Some of the side mysteries and conversations are surprisingly memorable, and even small characters feel real. It's messy, morally gray, and really invests you in this world of fairy tale people trying to survive in a harsh modern city.
He's had enough.
Baldur's Gate 3. Hold on to your hats because we're about to talk about a game that basically took the whole world by storm, and for a super good reason. Baldur's Gate 3. This one is a big deal, like the big deal, especially for isometric games. So imagine you're just chilling, maybe on a giant alien spaceship that looks like a squid. Yeah, seriously, a squid ship. And then bam, you get this weird gross little worm alien thing shoved into your eyeball, and guess what? It's gonna turn you into one of those creepy tentacle-faced brain eaters if you don't do something about it. That's your starting point in Baldur's Gate 3. From that cool, slightly from above camera angle, you're looking down at this huge, beautiful world, and every little bit of it is packed with stuff to do. This game is based on Dungeons & Dragons, which is like the granddaddy of all fantasy role-playing games. So if you've ever wanted to play D&D, but like without having to actually sit around a table with dice and pizza stains, this is it. The fights are turn-based, just like in D&D, which means you get to really think about your moves. You can push enemies off cliffs, super satisfying, set the ground on fire, cast crazy spells, or just whack them really hard with a big sword. And because you're looking down, you can plan out your whole attack. Like, okay, my wizard will drop grease here, then my rogue will set it on fire, and my fighter will just run through the flames like a boss. It's tactical, but in a really fun, creative way. But here's the kicker. The story, man, the story is epic. It's not just about getting rid of that brainworm. It's about saving the whole world, making friends, maybe finding some romance, and dealing with a bunch of weird and hilarious situations. Every single choice you make, big or small, can change things down the road. Seriously, you can play this game like 5 different times and have completely different adventures. You meet so many amazing characters and they actually remember what you did and they'll react to it. It's like living in a fantasy movie where you're the main character and you get to decide if you're going to be a total hero, a sneaky villain, or just a chaotic weirdo. Plus, the voice acting is top-notch, the graphics are insane for an isometric game, and there are so many different ways to build your character, like tons of classes and subclasses from D&D. You could be a cool bard who sings enemies to death, a raging barbarian, or a sneaky rogue who picks every lock. Oh, and you can play the whole thing with your friends in co-op. Imagine trying to convince your buddy to make a bad choice just for the laughs. It's truly something else. What remains of Edith Finch? You play as Edith, the last living member of this super unlucky family, the Finches. She's come back to her old, creaky house to figure out what the hell happened to everyone. And I don't mean like some basic what happened mystery. I mean, you literally explore the lives and deaths of every family member through these short, creative little story segments. Each one feels like its own mini game with its own rules and art style and tone. Like one moment you're playing as a kid pretending to be a monster, and the next you're slicing fish while your mind drifts into a full-on fantasy world. It's wild how different each section feels, but somehow it all fits together perfectly. The real magic here is how it uses gameplay to tell the story, not just with dialogue or text, but with how you play. Like there's this one level where a character is dealing with mental illness, and the way the controls split between a dull job and a daydream slowly taking over, it's straight up genius. You don't just hear what they're going through, you feel it.
And he won.
The house itself is a huge part of the vibe too. It's like this big, strange, overstuffed museum of memories. Every room is sealed off like a shrine, frozen in time, and when you finally get into each one, it tells you so much about the person who lived there without saying a word. Their hobbies, their fears, how they died. It's sad, but also kind of cozy, like you're walking through a family photo album that's falling apart but still full of love. And yeah, this game's sad. Let's not sugarcoat it. Almost every story ends with someone dying, but somehow it never feels cheap or edgy, it's just honest. Some of the deaths are peaceful, some are weird, some are just plain tragic, but they all feel human. And the way Edith processes it all, how she keeps searching for meaning even when it feels hopeless, it's beautiful.
This is where your story begins.
Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 5 is one of those games that just gets it right. Like everything you'd want from a fast-paced, stylish hack and slash, it's all here. Not just good for fans, we're talking top-tier action that still feels fresh years later. First off, the combat is smooth as butter. You're not just mashing buttons, you're performing. The whole game is built around making you look cool while you fight, and when it clicks, man, it's addicting. You're juggling enemies in the air, swapping weapons mid-combo, zipping around the room like a pro, and the game actually scores you based on how stylish your moves are. It's not about just winning, it's about looking awesome while doing it. You've got 3 characters to switch between: Nero, V, and the OG himself, Dante. Each one plays completely different. Nero has this robotic arm thing that can shoot rockets and grab enemies, V summons shadow creatures to fight for him, and Dante, he's got like 20 weapons and styles you can swap on the fly. Each one is fun in its own way, and switching between them keeps the whole game feeling fresh. Visually, this thing still looks amazing. The RE engine makes everything super detailed, from the monsters to the slick leather jackets to the insane special effects, and the animations are clean as hell. You pull off a perfect combo and it just looks amazing. The Kenshi. If you've ever wanted to dive into a gritty, open-world RPG that doesn't hold your hand, Kenshi is right up your alley. This game is a deep sandbox experience set in a brutal, post-apocalyptic world where survival is the name of the game. There's no clear hero's journey here. Kenshi lets you make your own story, and it can be as chaotic, challenging, or rewarding as you make it. You start as a nobody. Literally anyone. You can pick from a handful of preset characters or just create your own with no special background or significant powers. You're not the chosen one here. The world of Kenshi is unforgiving, filled with hostile factions, dangerous wildlife, and harsh terrain. You'll need to scavenge for food, repair your broken equipment, and manage injuries. One bad decision can get you captured, enslaved, or killed. The best part about Kenshi is its open-ended gameplay. There's no linear storyline to follow. Instead, you get to create your own path. Want to become a wandering mercenary, a thief, or maybe a trader? You can do all that and more. You can even build your own base, gather resources, and grow your own little faction. You might also choose to live as a simple farmer, crafting goods and trading with others. Or maybe you want to conquer the world and become a warlord. There's no limit to how you want to play. The game has a real-time, squad-based combat system, and battles can be pretty intense. The controls might feel clunky at first, but once you get the hang of it, managing your group and taking on enemies becomes an engaging challenge. Combat is brutal, and your characters can get injured, leaving them limping or even incapacitated. You can recruit other people to join your squad, but keeping them alive is a whole different ballgame. The world of Kenshi is vast and absolutely packed with things to discover. There are dozens of different factions, each with their own goals and agendas. Whether it's a nomadic group of traders or a militant empire, each area has its own vibe and risks. The world feels alive with opportunity and danger, and your actions can change how certain factions treat you. The art style is pretty unique. Kenshi has this rough, almost hand-drawn look with detailed environments that feel real and lived in. The world is huge with deserts, forests, and ruined cities scattered around. The game doesn't spoon-feed you any details, but the world tells its story through its environments, making exploration feel all the more rewarding. Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This game is a fantastic example of a modern AA gem that's doing something really special. It might not have the mega budget of a Final Fantasy or a Starfield, but it's packing so much creativity and polish that it's seriously challenging those big hitters. First off, the setting is absolutely wild and gorgeous. Imagine a dark fantasy world, but instead of dusty castles, you're in something inspired by Belle Epoque France. Think late 1800s, but with a surreal, magical, and totally haunting twist. Every year, a terrifying being called the Paintress uses a cursed number to erase everyone on the planet who reaches that age. And guess what? This year, the number is 33, so you're part of Expedition 33, a group of volunteers all aged 33 on a desperate quest to literally find and stop this Paintress before everyone their age disappears. How's that for a chilling premise? It's visually stunning, unique, and just dripping with atmosphere.
Wait, I hear something.
But where this game really shines and earns its mind-blower status is its turn-based combat system. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, turn-based, snooze, but Clair Obscur flips that on its head by adding real-time elements that keep you totally engaged. You got your traditional turns, picking actions, but then, when it's time to attack or defend, you're actually dodging, parrying, and chaining combos with timed button presses. It's like they took the strategic depth of classic JRPGs and injected it with the adrenaline of an action game. It makes every fight feel active and intense, not just a menu-clicking chore. You're controlling a party of really cool characters, each with their own unique skills and abilities, and you get to craft unique builds for them. Plus, the enemies you face, called Nevrons, are these bizarre, surreal, and often terrifying creatures that fit perfectly into the game's dark fantasy vibe. Plague Tale Games. Now these games are made by a studio called Azubo Studio, and they really hit a sweet spot as games that are like actually amazing stories. Like don't have the absolutely massive budget of something like a Grand Theft Auto or a Call of Duty, but they use every single bit of their resources to create something truly special. They show that you don't need billions of dollars to tell a powerful story and deliver a truly amazing experience. The whole idea behind these games is pretty heavy. They drop you right into a super dark version of medieval France during the terrifying time of the Black Death. It's not just a sickness in this world, though, it's also tied to these absolutely massive swarming hordes of plague-carrying rats, like millions of them. You mainly play as Amicia Darun, a teenage girl who is desperately trying to protect her younger brother, Hugo. Hugo has some kind of mysterious, magical connection to the plague and the rats, and because of this, they're both being hunted down by the scary Inquisition, like a religious police force, and, of course, those endless waves of hungry, biting rats. These games are mostly about stealth and puzzle solving. You're usually outnumbered and outmatched by soldiers and even the rats, so running and gunning isn't an option. Amicia is not a super soldier, she's just a girl with a slingshot, at least at first. A big part of the gameplay revolves around light and darkness. The rats hate light, so you're constantly finding ways to use torches, braziers, or special alchemical concoctions to scare them away, or create safe paths through areas swarming with them. If you step into the shadows without light, those rats will devour you in seconds, and it's pretty horrifying to watch. You also have to use the rats against your human enemies sometimes by extinguishing their lights and letting the rats do the dirty work. You'll use alchemy a lot too. Amicia can craft different types of ammunition for her slingshot or other tools. She can make fire pots to light things up, smoke bombs to distract enemies, or even potions to attract rats to certain spots. Later in the second game, Amicia gets a bit more capable in direct combat, but it's still about being smart and strategic, not just rushing in. Hugo also has his own special abilities related to the rats, which become a huge part of solving puzzles and getting through areas.
To me, Lucas. I feel my mind going.
I know. Think of your brother. We have to carry on.
It's Mafia 2. Now this is one of those games that quietly aged like fine wine. It dropped back in 2010, but honestly, it still holds up better than a lot of modern story-driven games, especially when it comes to tone, storytelling, and atmosphere. Mafia 2 absolutely nails it. So the first thing that stands out is the story. It's not trying to give you a 100-hour open world with side quests every 10 feet. It's way more focused. You play as Vito Scaletta, an Italian-American who returns home from World War II and slowly gets pulled into the world of organized crime. The whole game plays like an old-school mafia movie, something between Goodfellas and The Godfather, and it's not just about action, it's about loyalty, betrayal, family, and chasing a better life in a broken system. Vito isn't a superhero, he's just a regular guy trying to climb the ladder and take care of his family. That grounded, personal approach makes the whole thing hit way harder emotionally. You actually care about Vito and his best friend Joe Barbaro, and the bond between them is one of the best parts of the game.
About time you showed up.
But where Mafia 2 really embarrasses modern games is the atmosphere and detail. The setting, Empire Bay, feels like a living, breathing city from the 1940s and 50s. Snow on the ground, jazz music on the radio, old school cars, classic advertisements, people walking around in period clothing. It's all so perfectly done. You step outside and just feel the time period. And that's something you don't see much these days. A lot of modern games set in the past kind of fake it, but Mafia 2 goes all in. It's stylish, moody, and rich with little details that bring everything to life. Let's talk realism too. The game's not afraid to slow things down. You don't have superpowers, the gunfights are gritty and grounded, you can only carry a couple weapons at a time, you reload manually, take cover, and actually feel the danger. The cops in this game don't mess around either. Speeding, they'll pull you over, run a red light, they'll fine you. That stuff adds a layer of immersion you don't see often.
The working man's a sucker, that's for damn sure.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. When Guardians of the Galaxy first got shown off, everybody and their grandma thought it was going to be another flop like that Avengers game, you know, the one all live service, nonsense, boring grind, ugly character models, just disappointment all around. So yeah, people saw Guardians, saw it was just Star-Lord, and kinda dipped. They thought it was going to be more of that same trash, but nah. This game pulled a full 180 and surprised everybody. It turned out to be the complete opposite of that Avengers mess. No battle pass, no grind, no multiplayer fluff, just a full-on single-player, story-driven, high-quality experience with heart, humor, and actual fun gameplay. It's not even trying to be a knockoff of the MCU versions. The characters here feel like their own thing, different voices, different backstories, but still super likable. Honestly, more likable in some ways. The writing is sharp and they bicker and joke and open up in ways that feel real. You actually care about these weirdos by the end. They're not just comic book props, they're a messed up little family, and it works. And yeah, the gameplay is good. It's not just pew pew laser shooting the whole time. You've got to command your team, break down enemy shields, mix your attacks, and keep moving. It gets hectic but never overwhelming, and when you hit that perfect moment and the 80s music kicks in, dude, it's hype, like full goosebumps. Visually, it looks amazing too. The planets are bright, alien, weird, and full of personality. It doesn't feel like a copy-paste sci-fi world. Every place you go feels fresh and creative, and even the quiet parts, like walking through ship hallways and having small convos, are filled with little touches that show how much care went into it. At the end of the day, this game went from meh expectations to full-on sleeper hit. People thought it was going to be another Avengers disaster, and instead, it turned out to be one of the best Marvel games out there. Straight up proof that good writing, good pacing, and a focused story can still hit hard, even in a world full of bloated live service trash.
Follow me!
Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human is one of those games that doesn't just feel like a movie, it is a movie, but one where you're in control the whole time. The graphics are insanely realistic. Every scene looks like it came straight out of a sci-fi movie, and the characters are brought to life with some of the best voice acting and motion capture you'll ever see in a game. Their faces, their emotions, how they move, it's all super real. The story takes place in a future version of Detroit where androids, basically human-like robots, work for real people. Some clean houses, some do tough jobs, some take care of kids, but things start to get messy when the androids begin to feel emotions. They start thinking for themselves and asking questions like, why am I being treated like a machine? That's where your story begins. And in this game, you don't just control the story of one android, but 3. Each one has a totally different personality, and each story feels like its own mini-movie. But what's really cool is how these stories start to connect as you play. And the best part, you choose what happens. Every single choice you make matters. Save someone, lie, fight, run, stay silent. It all changes the outcome. People can live or die. Big scenes might not happen if you made a different call earlier. And by the end, you've got tons of possible endings based on what kind of person or android you turned each character into. The world itself looks amazing, from futuristic cityscapes and rainy back alleys to warm, quiet apartments and high-tech labs. Every location feels lived in and real. There's a strong mood in every scene, whether it's tense, sad, hopeful, or scary. The music backs it all up perfectly, with different themes for each character, soft piano, heavy drums, or electronic beats depending on the moment. What makes Detroit Become Human so special is how cinematic it all feels without losing what makes games fun. You're not just watching the story, you're shaping it. You're making tough calls and seeing the effects play out right in front of you. And the branching path system is one of the best ever. After each chapter, you can even look at a full flowchart that shows all the different choices you could have made. It's pretty wild how they devs went all in with the choices and narrative branches. This is a game you can play multiple times and still find new stuff, new scenes, new dialogue, even whole new endings. It's that deep. And with how good the acting and writing is, it really does feel like you're starring in a top-tier sci-fi movie. Also, now before we end the video, here are some honorable mentions. Life is Strange.
Bracelet. Give it to me right now, asshole!
You better step back before you regret it, girl.
Who you're messing around with?
Psycho! No!
I know I'm not dreaming this. I hope I did everything right this time.
Rise of the Tomb Raider.